Welcome, everybody. This is Hugh Massie, the chairman and founder of DNA Behaviour International. And today I'm delighted to be hosting another identity conversation. And I have a longtime friend with me, Rick Helbing. And Rick is from Sarasota and is a financial life advisor with Suncoast Advisory, which is a firm that he founded some years ago. Rick and I have been working together probably for 12, 13 years, using the DNA systems and collaborating on some pretty important areas of wealth management. So welcome, Rick.
Oh, thank you, Hugh. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see you and your smile. So Rick, why don't you just tell everybody a little bit about your life and career journey and how you got to the place of setting up Suncoast Advisory and the specialist work that you do.
Yeah, thank you. It really came into being kind of after I got out of college when I was attending the University of Wisconsin Whitewater, and for some Whitewater fans, I want to say hello. But otherwise, it going through that, I had a dean of students down there when I wasn't doing that well, and he kind of took me under his wing a little bit and told me and explained to me that, son, you've got to have some goals. And of course, I had never heard of that before. So that really kind of got me started. And I thought, wow, this is a great concept. Why doesn't everybody have goals? And, of course, a lot of people did. I did not. So after I got out, finally made it, graduated and got through all that, I had a couple jobs and wasn't really happy. Working for somebody else was great. And when I got married, my former wife's father was already in investment management down here in Sarasota, Florida. Well, I was really interested in that. And he actually took me to some conferences, which was nice for just a day. And we also discussed the business quite a bit. And I was really, really interested in what he was doing and how he was doing it. And he kind of invented down here. He didn't invent seminars, but he kind of put these together in Sarasota with an attorney. And I thought that was pretty unique, because the attorney would come on, put this together, and then he would speak. And they were a really good combo, and it was great. And I really enjoyed that, but I wanted something a little bit deeper. And how that happened was I was sailing with him. He happened to have the president of Sarasota Memorial Hospital with us on a sail, and I got to know him, and I was talking to him, and he found out that I had left a profession to go with a company called Cigna Individual Financial Services, because I wanted to do my own thing, and I got interested because of what John was doing, my former father-in-law. And so I decided to go that route instead of the brokerage route, and it was great training. But when I met this president of Sarasota Memorial Hospital, it was great. He was asking me a lot of questions, which I thought was nice, but I came back and asked him a lot of questions. And he said, something, I've never had a plan. I've never had anything done. And he said, why don't you put some things together for me? And I said, great. And I did. And that's how I got started in with medical doctors. But he referred like 15 or 20 to me, and it was wonderful. But it was really the journey of talking to my father-in-law, leaving the corporate world, and then coming into the financial business with Cigna, and then leaving them, and then with my partner, who was also working there, we decided to form Suncoast Advisory Group back in 1987. So this is my 34th year in business. I'm really old. No, but I started when I was only 12. But the point is that we're having a great time, and now we work with physicians, dentists, some specialized business owners here around Sarasota and Tampa area. So the journey's been a fun one for me, and right now I can't see myself doing anything else. It's just been a joyride for me.
Well, it's amazing. Not many people get to do their own thing for 34 years and love every minute of it.
Yeah.
Like you have, and really stuck at it. But Rick, what do you think is the sort of the part of financial planning, wealth management that you love so much that's kept you in the game?
Well, one thing without coming back to your company, but when I discovered your company in financial DNA, and I think it's been longer, Hugh, than 13 years. I want to say it's been about 16 or 17. It seems like I kind of started with you when your office was not as big, and now you're extremely successful. But when I was with that, when my partner and I would put this together, because we thought people never, it gets back to the goals comment I made. So we went back and when we're looking at talking to clients, they had no direction really. Things were kind of haphazard. Yes, they may have had someone out there handling their investments. They had another person handling life insurance. They had an attorney that they may have seen or may not have seen for estate planning. They never had everything all together to kind of have somebody become like a CFO or however you want to put it, but an organizer to put it together for them. And then to see where their strengths and struggles were happening. So when we did all this, we thought we were doing a great thing. And I think this may mirror your thing that you had down in Sydney when you were down there. But we would put these great plans together, and without having DNA at that time, we didn't seem to be always getting through to some people. So, but they loved that we had the goal set up for them and an action agenda, and they were moving forward. But there were some things that they just weren't totally moving forward with. And we could not understand what we were doing wrong. And that's when I discovered your company, and that changed everything. To go through with my clients on a discovery process of understanding their learned and natural behavior.
Yeah, so I was really getting more to the psychology of the client is the part that's made it more sustainable, perhaps more successful as well.
Absolutely, because when I was going through training with Cigna, it's more of how many people can you see. It's the old days of sales. How many people can you see? The more people you see, the more sales you will have. That was the theory, and probably that's rightly so today. Yeah, but I think now it's turned. My whole business has turned all consulting. The sales, it's really kind of taking care of itself, because with the consulting, everything kind of falls into place. And then understanding the behavior of the client is even deeper than I ever thought I would get. And now I look back on it, and I just had this discussion the other day with a client when we look back on when they first completed the DNA profiles, that I told them, I said, I really wish I would have had this when I started, because it would have just changed my whole philosophy and approach to financial planning at that particular stage.
Because there's so many emotions that are wrapped up with money, and it just triggers so much in people. I don't know that you can really do planning without understanding that and where it's coming from for each person, because it's different for each person.
Exactly. And I can't. I've been approached a couple of times asking me that, well, I've got this friend of mine, he's got a certain amount of money, and what can you do for him? The famous cocktail approach. Rick, if I have $1 million, what would you do with it? I just kind of look at them and say, I don't know you. I don't know what's in your heart, your mind, your soul. I really don't know. So I said, one thing we could do is just get together and let me hear you talk about this, and then we can go from there. So I agree with you 100%. So I'm completely on board with that.
So, Rick, with the clientele you've got, and you're very specialized with medical practitioners, dentists.
Right.
They're generally pretty high income earners.
Right.
Some of them may inherit some money, so that sort of adds a bit more to the pot, or they've got a wife that's also out there working that might be putting money in the pot. So they should be well off, but why do so many of them have money worries? And how do you help them with that?
Well, the one thing coming out of med school that I've noticed with almost every one of my clients, there are no, and I'm not saying this is not true today, there may be now some things going on, but on the majority with my clients, because most of my clients have been with me over 20 something years now. So my top clients, and they would all say to me, especially even the dentist, is that we never had any type of help while we're in residency or in med school or dental school, anything on how to look at, how to evaluate contracts, money, how to invest money, how to even look at money, how to do all this, how are we going to get out of debt? Because I have quite a few clients that, they had to kind of pay their own way. They got some help, as you well know. Medical dental schools are not cheap today, or even back then. So they were just disorganized, and that's what I noticed when I got the referrals from the person I mentioned before, the president of Sarasota Memorial way back when he provided me some referrals. I was just astounded because I have a different process on going in with these doctors that maybe some people do not have. And for me, I really want to get inside their head. And when we were doing that, I just found that they were just disorganized at that particular time. And they just needed help for organization. And what do we do? Do we even have the right corporate structure? So there were a lot of issues that they were facing that they weren't finding answers to at that particular time. And actually today also.
So where do you see your greatest success being, though, with these clients? Is it just helping them get organized and they know then that their money is being looked after on the right platforms, the right places? It's not getting lost. They're not getting ripped off. I mean, where is it that you sort of see your greatest success with these clients?
It's building trust.
Yeah.
Building trust, having integrity. I mean, it's more value based. So my values being family, honesty, integrity, creativity. For me, I try to allude that to my client, and so we take some time, and especially going through the process with getting back to your deal, DNA. It really helps to get a deeper understanding of the clients, and they really appreciate that, I think, or at least that's the feedback I have received, because it's I kind of stole your saying, so to speak, of understanding you before the numbers. Yeah. And that's the way really that I do it. I want to understand them, what's going on in their life. So I always ask them a question. One of the first questions that I'll ask them outside of let's get to know you and tell me about yourself like you're doing with me is to, provide me 3 opportunities that you feel you're not achieving in your personal and business life right now. And then tell me about the 3 struggles you feel that you're going through in your personal and business life right now. And then I know it's hard to believe, but then I just be quiet, and it's amazing what the stories you hear. So that's where I feel that it's really the trust, the buildup of trust between each other.
But a lot of that's also, I imagine it's coming from the questions that you're asking them. So you're putting them in that place where they feel comfortable, but you're asking them, in a way, pretty in-depth questions. Right. And to some degree customized to who they are, because you've got them to do financial DNA, so you know where they sit on various traits and what their leanings would be. Not all physicians are going to be the same, no. And dentists are going to be the same. So you need to approach each one. So I imagine it's some of the questions that you ask is what helps build the trust. Yes,
that's the most important part. That is the most important part.
So for you, Rick, when you completed financial DNA, let's say it was 15 years ago, I think the questions haven't really changed, but maybe how we set it up has changed a little bit, through that time. But right. What did it bring out for you as an advisor? What was your experience of it when you went through it and got back the results and saw, okay, I can really use this. So what was it saying to you? And just before you get to that, just for everybody's benefit, financial DNA is something that the participant takes 10, 12 minutes to complete online. You get back a report. It tells you about your financial propensities, decision-making style, how you build a relationship. And Rick is an influencer style. So, likes to be with people. Building trust is important. Getting people to make a decision, I think, is something that really is probably what motivates you as well.
Yes. Yeah, that hasn't really been a huge problem because we talk about that up front. But I went, when you asked me a question about the DNA and what I took, I had to look at myself first. And so when I went through this, and I know you and I have had some interesting discussions on this.
Yeah.
When I looked at this and I kind of went, oh my gosh, this is really, it scared me actually. It was so accurate that I just had to go back and just say, okay, here's, I'm getting a great feedback on myself about my struggles, my strengths, my behavioral biases, my blind spots, my core drivers on my left brain, my right brain. I'm getting all this great information. And now, okay, what is the most effective way I can use this? So I looked at myself first and decided that, I have got to take this process and use this as my main discovery process for clients. And it has helped. I can sit here for hours and tell you stories that happen with a lot of my clients and how it has impacted and how it's helped me not only present and communicate with them, but also the results that we get on a deeper relationship that we now have. And I think that's one of the other reasons that I have longevity with my clients, quite frankly.
Yeah, well, you've got to have, if you've been in business for 34 years and you've had a lot of the same clients.
You get a little lucky on occasion.
Through that time, certainly 20 plus years is pretty good to have the same clients.
Right. Yeah. So it's been wonderful.
But Rick, in your style, you're very fast paced, which can mean, I think a strength of it is being very logical, rational, explaining the truth to people as well, I think.
Yeah.
How do you get that to play out when you're working with the client?
Well, one thing we do now, I have a virtual assistant that we have the DNA profiles as an example, and I'm not trying to make this a DNA interview, but I'm so strong on this that we have the profiles that are already over into our contact management system. So before I go out to meet with a client, she reminds me that it's there. Review the communication DNA, review the natural behavior DNA. And then I also review my pretty large summary that is provided on what are there any questions I need to ask, and remind myself because a lot of times I can't remember everyone's DNA. Yeah. But when I do go out there, it kind of reminds me, and then I can help modify my presentation. So the fast pace is with me all the time, and so I know this. And I want to keep moving because I want to help the client so much that I want to keep moving at a pace. Well, sometimes obviously you can't. Some clients are not going to move that fast. So I know that now. And that's where it leads back to my former partner and myself, where that's where we didn't have that information. We would move. We couldn't understand. Why aren't you implementing? Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing? Well, now I know why they're not. And so it, or at least I think I know, and it helps. And if I do get a little bit in a quandary, I know where I can go to get some help.
But in a way, it's a double-edged sword. You could be, with your fast-paced score, too quick for some people and wanting to move them along. Right. But at the same time, but knowing how to back that off is important, just to slow it down. But at the same time, being able to speak the truth to people, perhaps when there's problems, and get them to see the logic of what they're doing, so they don't make a stupid mistake, or to, right. In a way, take away a worry and say, it's okay, and just get that communicated directly. Right. It's the flip side of all that too.
Yeah, and that was just, it was in my struggle, being fast paced and sometimes making some decisions too quickly. And so I've really have worked on slowing that down. And hopefully that has been reflected with my meetings with my clients. So far so good. I've got 58 clients right now. I can probably max out to 70 maybe, and that's about it. So, and so far everybody's still obviously intact. And so I've got all the clients I have are fantastic. So I've really been blessed. And with the help of this process, it's even gotten better.
So taking all of that, where do you see yourself as different? If a client was interviewing 5 different financial advisors down there in Sarasota area, what's different about what you do to everybody else? I mean, okay, financial DNA might be one part of it, but what's different about Rick that these people come to you?
Well, it's
you.
Yeah, when I get referred and I go meet a client, my process is a little bit different than a lot of other advisors. So when I go in, I sit down, ask the questions, get to learn about them, understand where, like I mentioned, the 3 opportunities or the 3 struggles. And then what I try to do that I don't see a lot of other advisors doing right now, is I let the client know that one way I can determine, and you can determine with me based on expectations, is that I put together a financial proposal. And there's no mental obligation. There's no monetary obligation for this. And I collect basically 4 documents from them. And I just let them know that I want to find out if my particular process will help you, and you'll get an opportunity to find out also, but it'll give you more time to look into me. And so they'll either ask for some other clients that they can talk to, which I have permission from those clients to give their name or whatever. So, but I go through this process with them where we sit down and go through the proposal. So if the husband's there or the wife's there, and if one is there, the other is not, then when I go through that proposal, present that proposal with the documents I get, which has me present observations on their current situation, then I want to make sure everybody's involved. So we have that meeting generally probably after work or whatever it may be. And then I go through the proposal, and it's been wonderful because most of the clients didn't even realize some of the things that were going on. So it gives me a wealth of information.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a more professional way of getting to know the client at the same time. And then from there, now these are new clients, so they know a little bit about DNA because we talked about it, but then that's where we sit back, and once they decide they want to work with me, that's the first thing we discuss are the profiles that they'll be receiving.
So do you do the proposal before the profiles, or you do it all?
No, it's before. On occasion, I may send out just the communication DNA on an email before we meet, because that'll give me some information on how they want to be communicated with, which is extremely important. And I tell them, look, that takes less than a minute. I mean, you can, boom, it's done. And it's been great. And I have another financial survey I do where they can click off on low priority to high priority on what they feel they want to talk about. And that way, when I go in, I have a little bit more information on them, which is great. So that's one way I differentiate. I mean, financial DNA is a big differentiator for me, but that's one way I differentiate with the proposal. Then other ways that my existing clients happen to mention to people that they'll refer to me is that my fee is a different fee structure from other advisors. So I charge an annual retainer, whereas most advisors are on asset under management fees. So because I'm providing a complete holistic financial life planning experience, I don't manage money. And most advisors out there probably don't, because they utilize models or whatever, or they may have some CFAs on their staff, and that's great. But for me, I don't have that. I'm a solo practitioner. So what I do then is I just outsource all that. But the nice thing about it is they're on an annual retainer, which they love. So as hopefully their wealth grows, I don't get paid anymore for that. But on the other hand, when the markets are down, because I can't control the markets, the one thing that I can do is now not so much hand holding, but we have to make some decisions. Like I had one business owner where we kind of shut down the business on a Friday. We had to lay some people off, but we told them to stay close. This happened during COVID and some other things. And we had to make some business decisions. So we sat down as a team with a CPA and attorney and got all that done. So, but I don't think I should take a haircut either. So, and again, it gets back to controlling. I can't control the markets. So I don't want to be really, with the service I offer, I don't want to be paid based on what I can't control.
Yeah, so it's very important that in that model that you've got enables you to be unbiased in the decisions.
Right.
And that, Rick, it's interesting that you've got to that place now with the business, because I know there's been evolutions of the model. It's I did almost overnight in Sydney 20 years ago, or a bit more than 20 years ago, when I decided to do well, to be a wealth mentor and deploy financial DNA. It didn't matter whether the client had, hundreds of millions of dollars or $1 million. It was pretty much a fixed fee. Based on what I was doing for them. It was very tangible. And so maybe that is, that's a very important point to bring out here that fits with your style as well, is, it's the unbiased decision making and helping the client get to the truth of the matter.
Right.
And you can do that because they know that your fee doesn't change based on the decisions that you're putting in front of them.
Correct. That's correct.
And I think that's a really important thing. And it's aligned to who you are as well as a financial life advisor. You're interested in their whole life. Doesn't matter what issue you're discussing with them. It's not going to change what you recommend because your fee is already set and determined.
Correct. Right. And then we put things together with their other advisors too. So there's, it's just like, I'm sure quite a few of the advisors you may have talked to, they have a team approach. So we work with their CPAs, we work with their attorneys, anybody else that they want us to work with, we're there for them. With medical and dental practitioners, a lot of times I get a great opportunity for me to work with the practice administrator. So I can kind of take some burdens off of his or her shoulders and say, let me take care of that for you. And they love it. And so for me, it's great to see them. And my whole mantra here is really improving and enhancing the quality of life of my clients. That's really for me, that's my why, so to speak.
Yeah, it's enhancing the quality of life, but also in the process, taking away the money worries as well.
Yeah, well, hopefully, yes. Yeah. I'm hoping that happens. And like today, I just had a client call me up and said, "Hey, my daughter lives out in Seattle. I've got a grandson out there. And what we're looking at is she wants to know how she can effectively, from a tax standpoint, save for college." Well, now it's his daughter. And he said, "Would you mind talking to her?" And I'm sure this is a simple story most advisors will, also have. But those are little things that mean a lot to my clients and mean a lot to me. I said, absolutely, let's, just please have her call me. So it's, there's a lot of ancillary stuff that gets done here. So but
that's all part of having that unbiased retainer model allows you to do all of those things.
Right.
And, you're just providing a whole of life service to the clients. But I think what I've really seen is, you being unbiased, Rick, and then helping people make quality life decisions, and across all areas of their life is really the big thing.
Right. And it's important to me and it's important to my clients. So yes.
But that's what your clients need to know about you. In a way, that's your identity is wrapped up in that. Is wrapped up in that.
Correct.
And at the end of the day, then working in a team-based way to get the client to make a decision by having their attorney and their accountant there is important as well. And if I presume they're professionals as well that are operating, on a fee basis, so it's a pretty clean-cut service.
Right. Correct.
That the clients are getting, and that helps build the trust at the end of the day.
Yeah, and we're also providing them the other way we differentiate. We're also providing them a comprehensive financial life plan. So, and they're getting 4 areas of planning from us, and an action agenda on top of that. And we send a lot of that out to their other advisors. So, I'm not. I haven't seen a lot of that happen out there because I always run in. Anytime I get referred into a client, they normally have another advisor, right? So. I always ask, well, I'd love to see the plan. Let's look at it. And you may be on track and my services may not be needed. A lot of times I don't, unfortunately, get to see that plan. It's something that doesn't exist.
Yeah, but I think what you've got down pat is a very tangible process for any new client to see.
Absolutely. Right.
And then the proposal helps make all that tangible up front.
Right.
That builds a lot of trust because it can't just be a fluffy conversation. It's got to get real somewhere.
Absolutely.
And I think the clients knowing you're unbiased, Rick, is really important.
Yeah. No, thank you. I appreciate it.
So have you got anything else that you would share with our listeners about wealth management, financial planning, dealing with clients that, you feel is like an insight they should have, or a book that people should read? I mean, I know you send out pretty good blogs pretty regularly that for people to engage people, but is there something that's a standout for you right now?
Well, I think that, talking to younger advisors and a couple of advisors I mentor a little bit. One of the things that I point out to them is to really ask questions, get to know your client a lot better than you think you know your client. I always ask, on occasion, I'll ask an advisor just, hey, let me, I'll say, what's your client's favorite sport? What's your client's favorite drink? And they kind of look at me like, I don't know. And I just think asking questions, sitting back and just, like you and I talked earlier about storytelling. Yeah. That's one way that you can, not only your client feels more comfortable, but you'll feel more comfortable. You'll really get to know your client because later on down the road, that's all going to pay off for you. Yeah. And that, to me, if I was not in this business, I would really, really want to know someone that I can trust, that I know I can go to, that not only is my advisor, but down the road becomes my friend. Yeah. And I think that's important. And your particular company has helped me in so many ways with the process. That is my total process for getting to know the client. And I think I mentioned to you that, and I think you and Leon were a little astounded when I told you that, because I get a 50% fee up front that if they do not complete that. Now, this has never happened to me, but if they don't complete that financial DNA, the 4 profiles, I will hand the check back after a period of time. Yeah. But that has never happened. So once that all happens, my clients just love it. They just love it. They just love going through the summary and sitting back. And here's the number one comment I heard: why doesn't everyone do this? And I agree. I agree with them. So, well,
I think I think eventually they will. We just got to be the ones keep on asking questions out there. Yes. Of clients, of other advisors, just keep on asking good questions, and the change will come. That's all we can keep doing.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, one more comment is, outside of asking questions, I think some of the advisors out there that are maybe just investment management oriented, I just think now with robo advisors and all this other stuff that's going on with the ETFs, and American Funds just announced that they're going to be offering ETFs in January of next year, and more and more inexpensive ways to take your money and put it somewhere. I just think the benefits and offering these ancillary services and really looking at your business and sitting down and putting together a business plan is extremely, extremely important to find out where you're going with your firm down the road. And I do this with my clients. We'll kind of offer them some software for business planning for them, because every single doctor I've talked to, I said, what's your business plan? Well, it's all up here. Well, yeah. Okay. Hard psychologically to keep it all up there. So I just think that's important also. So
yeah, well, you're able to help them in every area of their life. And I think that's the advantage of the model that you have. And if you were busy just having to manage the markets directly every day, you can't do that. And no one can beat the markets. I mean, that's the reality of what we've got to. So, you're focused on the right area of value.
Right. I think we are so far, and it's worked quite well. So yes, thank you. I appreciate the compliment.
Well, I'm glad to have been part of your life, Rick, for so long, and hope to be part of it for longer. I can't believe it's been so much time. It really. Yeah,
I think if you look back, it's going to be a little longer than 12 years, I believe, but I could be wrong.
It's quite amazing. Yeah. Quite amazing. Well, thank you, Rick.
No, thank you for having me on, and I appreciate it very much, and look forward to seeing you live and in color down here in Florida.